If Ed Miliband is right, then voters put Europe about 13th on the list of things that really matter to them. In other words, it shouldn't be something that any of the parties take that seriously. But if it wasn't that much of a worry, well, perhaps we wouldn't be hearing quite so much about it. And certainly for all their talk of the significance of the cost of living crisis and jobs, tomorrow the Labour leader will tackle the Europe issue head-on, with a concession that Europe, as they might say, isn't working. I know the reputation of the EU is, with reason, at a low ebb, he'll say. If Britain's future in Europe is to be secured, Europe needs to work better for Britain, and Britain needs to work more effectively for change within the EU. He'll be writing in the FT newspaper, and he'll go on to say, "I'm announcing that the next Labour government will legislate for a new lock. There would be no transfer of powers from the UK to the EU without a referendum on our continued membership of the EU." So where do the Tories stand? David Cameron made that clear a year ago.
We will give the British people a referendum with a very simple in or out choice: to stay in the European Union on these new terms or to come out altogether. It will be an in-out referendum.
Of course, there are plenty in his party that would wish him to go further, and indeed quicker. But a private member's bill representing the Cameron position was defeated by Labour and the Lib Dem peers in January. The Tories will now attempt to bring back the legislation later this year. UKIP have got one of the clearest positions on Europe. They just want to leave the EU altogether. They question the number of jobs that come from the Union and indeed how dependent the British economy is on Europe. But last week, one UKIP MEP acknowledged the transition couldn't happen in fewer than 5 years.
Be for in. Vote Liberal Democrat.
Just this weekend, Nick Clegg announced that the choice at the European elections would be between them and UKIP. He'd take on what he called backwards-looking politics. Theirs, he said, would be the party of in, UKIP would be the party of out. Everyone else, he intimated, was messing around in the middle, threatening to pull up the drawbridge. Today, the Labour backbencher John Mann wrote to Ed Miliband, calling on him to pledge an EU referendum within 12 months of the 2015 general election. Citing a survey in his constituency, Mann says, "The people are becoming restless and my constituents want their say on Britain's future in the EU." Tomorrow's speech won't go anywhere near as far, but perhaps it may offer a small crumb or two for all those campaigning on the doorstep in the weeks and months to come.